winding road, carves a map through the darkest night. Some say love takes a heavy load, helps someone make the burden light, teaches you not to hold too tight. You and I have come a long way together. You and I got a long way to go. You don't have to ask me now and never, 'cause I'm already yours and you'll always be mine. Some say love is a fire that grows, bound to hurt when you let it go. Some say love is a choice we make, a holy vow we should never break. And maybe that's just the chance we take. You and I have come a long way together. You and I've got a long way to go. You don't have to ask me now and never, 'cause I'm already yours and you'll always be mine.
Ooh, you guys are not supposed to see that screen. Let's change it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to HVAC Uncensored. You guys know I always start the show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. Well, tonight is a special episode, so the only sponsor I'm going to talk about is going to be my friends over at Bluon. If I can get back to my screen real fast here. Real fast before I do this, I want to thank all of you guys for the messages and stuff like that you've been sent me. A lot of you know that I lost a friend recently, and I had to break out of that funk. And a lot of you understood that there wasn't a podcast out the last week or so as far as audio goes. And I got a lot of emails and texts from a lot of people, and I want to tell all of you that I really, really do appreciate that. You have no idea how much that means to me. I read every single one of them. I may not have responded to all of you, but I read every single one of them, and I really, really do thank you from the bottom of my heart for those messages. I really, really do. And it also means the world to me that when a podcast doesn't come out, whether it's video or audio, that people are messaging me and texting me like, hey, Gil, is everything okay? Blah, blah, blah. So it makes me feel the impact of when this show comes out, and when it's not, you know, there's people there waiting for it. So I really, really do appreciate you guys, and I want to thank you for that. So, all right, let me get this back up. I apologize. The screens were flip-flopped. Here we go. All right, guys, my friends over at Bluon. Bluon has literally just changed the game for us techs. To make it super easy for you guys, right now on the Bluon app, you can get quotes on parts and truck stock from your local supply house. Forget wrong parts, waiting on hold, all that is gone, and we all know all that shit. Getting the wrong thing, talking to guys at counters that don't know what they're doing, it's not their fault because they're never properly trained. And here's the crazy part. You ready for this? You will get 2% back on every quote that gets approved. Did you hear that? Free money. Let me say that again. Repeat. You will get 2% back on every quote that gets approved. So you are getting money back for the money that you were going to spend anyway. Okay? That's like one of the best credit cards out there, and you all are automatically approved for it. No approval process. I don't care if you got shitty credit. All right? It all happens through Bluon points, which you can earn every time you use the app to order parts and material. 3 points turns into cash in your pocket. This shit adds up quick. Trust me, we use it at Beltway. My techs love it. I don't just talk about it. We use this every single day. The Bluon hats have become part of Beltway's uniform damn near. just for using Bluon. If you are not on Bluon and using it for parts and material, well, you're just stupid because you know I can't help you. There's so many free things on there that if you don't take advantage of Bluon, I don't understand how to make somebody want to do it because it really doesn't make sense to not have this app on your phone and not use it to the fullest. Bluon is 100% free. They will always be 100% free. How Bluon makes money is when you guys go in there and order those parts and you're going to get them from the same people you were going to get them from anyway. In that process, Bluon makes a few dollars, but it's free for us. This is why we do this Bluon Tech Support episodes. You guys get to meet some of the people that you can call and use them as a resource for free on any brand. You guys know how it is when you call one of these brands and if you're not an authorized dealer, you sit on phone for 3 fucking hours and then they tell you, oh, you're not a factory authorized dealer? Go fuck yourself. We've all been there, done that. Bluon is not those people, and they are somebody that all of you should be using as a resource. I cannot say it enough. I don't know how to say it to make people download it. The app is free. It doesn't cost you 2 cents, 30 cents, $30. It's free. It literally takes 10 minutes of your time, if that, to become a Bluon Pro member. So enough beating that dead horse. So sorry, this was grayed out, but yes, please go download the Bluon app and let's get into this pledge so we can rock and roll with this show. Enough of me running my mouth. Alrighty then. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Five, four, three, two, one, go.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil KV Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. I am your host, Gil KV Jr. Another special episode for you guys tonight with my friends over at Bluon. You can tell that, Christ, I don't do a podcast for a week and a half and all of a sudden shit's all wonky. So apologize for that. But from here forward, we have a great show. I'm going to get right into it. Guys, I've been showing you guys how much of a resource these guys and gals over at Bluon are. And that's the point of this, these tech support episodes, for you guys to put a face to a name, to be able to see the resources available over there, the knowledge these guys have. And at the same time, we're going to cover some tech tips and topics to be able to help you guys right on the video. So without further ado, guys, help me introduce Mr. Mark and Vinny. Hello, gentlemen.
How you doing, man?
Hey, yo.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having us, brother.
Yeah, of course, man. I absolutely love, and I say this every show, and it's probably like, beating a dead horse when I have you guys on, is I love this partnership, man, because I love dealing with sponsors that I would or do talk about them for free. So the fact that it's a sponsorship and a partnership just makes it even better, because I've always loved Bluon and what they did, and I really think that what you guys do is, I don't understand people when I ask them, hey, do you have the Bluon app on your phone? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Well, I mean, there's no reason for people not to have it. So it's I'm glad that we can get this out to as many people as possible.
Yeah, man, it's a wonderful app to. I wish when I was coming up in the industry that I had that access. I can't tell you the countless times trying to stand on the roof and find a schematic or an IOM manual to figure out, because nobody left it in the unit and it got rained on, and then I can't see it. So, with all everything that's in there, and some cool and superheat calculators as well as all the tools, and then now with the launch of ordering parts with the supply houses, like you said, dealing with counter guys, A lot of the new counter guys don't have the lingo that we use to talk. They don't understand tech talk. So drive a part where you can now just go on the app and click away and build it. Makes going to Chipotle to get my lunch a hell of a lot easier and faster than sitting for 20 minutes waiting for the counter guy to answer a phone call.
Yeah, it saves you time, and then you know that you're getting the right part. Like, you've done everything on your end. And a lot of the part house guys that I talk to, they love it because it comes through, it tells them the exact part number they got to get, they go grab it. It just makes it easier on everybody because they're already answered a bunch of phone calls. So now if we can take a couple, most supply houses are pushing for online orders anyway. Whether you do it on their online site or through Bluon, doesn't matter. But through Bluon, you're getting 2% back on the shit you were going to buy anyway. So it's crazy. Real fast before we get into it, man, I'll let you guys, introduce yourself, a little history about you and the trade. I guess we'll let you start, Vinny. Go ahead and you can introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, so I've been in the trade for about 15 years. I'm actually a third-generation AC guy, and I learned it from my father, and my father learned it from his father. My grandfather started off as an engineman, third-class petty officer in the Navy. And so that's where he learned his refrigeration. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So I appreciate you with the Pledge of Allegiance every podcast, man. That means a lot. So it's kind of funny because I'll ask him, the story of what got him into refrigerator or air conditioning. And he said, well, he was there mopping the deck and he sees this guy that's about his peer, but he's got a clipboard, he's got a flashlight. I mean, he's looking professional. He's like, man, what do you do? Well, I walk around and check pressures and temperatures, and report back to whomever. And he goes, oh, wow. So he dropped the mop, got the clipboard, started going through. And he tells me a story where that's right when he started, he had to wake up a guy to shut down plant 7. And he tried to wake him up. He didn't wake up. And so he goes, oh, well, go push that button in the middle. It's real easy. All you got to do is shut it down right there. And so he goes and he sees all these buttons and he pushes what middle, right? So he pushes it and he hears, he's like, okay, something's shut down. And he leaves. And well, about hours later, everybody's trying to wake him up. And he's like, what's going on? And he goes, you got to go down there. There's officers that are trying to figure out what you turned off. So he goes down there. He goes, well, this guy told me to push this button, and then they jumped on him. Go, oh, that was yours. He's like, yeah, I was supposed to get him up, and he told me to push this. And it turned out he turned off the circulating pumps of the chillers. So,
hey, you live and you learn, right? He was following orders, man.
Yeah, that's it. After that, they said, okay, Lopez, you got a certain amount of refrigeration class until we port. And I said, so Grandpa, your story is you drop the mop, you pick up the clipboard, you push the wrong button. That's how you learned air conditioning. He goes, yeah.
Hey, the sad part is there's probably people out there that have done worse than that learning it.
Oh yeah.
That's
you break
awesome,
you got to break a lot of shit to get to where you're to your expertise.
Hey, I always tell people, obviously you guys are seasoned vets. I've been doing this second generation 20-something years, but I always tell people the only difference between us and somebody starting out is we've made a lot more mistakes than they have. That's really the difference. It's about making new mistakes. You make a mistake, you learn from it. You keep making the same ones, and that's a problem. Keep making new mistakes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I learned how to keep the smoke in the board instead of let the smoke out of the board.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about Bluon is that you can call the techs that have made the mistakes. So learn from our mistakes instead of making your new ones.
Exactly. And real fast before I let you introduce yourself, Mark, is if you're watching this or listening to this, when you're out in the field and something troubles you or you're unsure, even if you think you might be on the right diagnosis, call and double check with somebody that has more experience than you. You may learn something. Why sit at a call and be there for 2 hours racking your fucking brain when somebody can help you? We all have this macho, I don't call tech support. Well, you're a fucking idiot. You should. That's how you learn something. And guess what? Your boss never has to know. The guys that work for me, that work for us, I mean, as long as they get the job done, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I tell them to call Bluon Tech Support. It's the only one that we use. And we're factory authorized through certain brands that I won't say, and I tell them not even to call them. So it's a resource, guys. It's about getting the job done and getting the job done right. That's all it's about. Fuck your pride. Put that shit in your tool bag and leave it there. So,
well, even in the industry, never be looked down upon for using tech support. There is so much diversity in the culture, the equipment that's out there, and it's changed. They been, we want everything communicating now, and I know it all. It's impossible to know everything in this trade. Like it literally, if somebody said, "Oh, I've worked on everything," you haven't, because that with 10 more things that you've never seen yet. So there's nothing wrong with ever looking for help for something, because nobody can know it all.
No. And if you have one of those old guys or even young guys who says that they know it all, they're full of shit, because you can never, ever know it all. I don't care how long you've been doing this. There's no way. Miss Susie Dunn. Hi, Miss Susie. Good to see you. Hello, Jason Jordan. Miss Susie says, I want to work for Bluon. Yeah, me too. I asked Mr. Peter, the CEO, that if I ever don't work out a Beltway, I want to go work for Bluon. He said, let him know. And then, Jesus, your guy's boss. I can't remember. I've met so many. The tech support.
Brian.
Yes, Brian. He was like, yeah, you're a COO. He's like, I can't afford you. It was funny. Me and him talked longer off air than we did on air. It was funny. But I guess go ahead and introduce yourself, Mark. Let everybody know your background, bud.
So I'm Mark. I am a first generation. I don't have all the generations like everybody else. Been in the industry for 27 years. Actually in Votech. Kind of got into it because through English, so I wasn't going to try to do another language, and decided to read, and went from there. Went right into building rack systems for grocery stores when I was 16. Then moved into development for some cooling towers, and a workplace and commercial industrial world, and worked mostly on big package rooftops and chillers and starting up buildings. And then spent some time in the data center world a little bit, and that was my work history.
Nice.
I worked on a lot of different equipment, a lot of big. I think I'm well diversified in it, and I absolutely love the big equipment. That's work for me.
Yeah, I missed some of it because, so you guys know a little bit about me. So it's 20 something years now. I've been doing it. I'm second generation. My dad did it. You might know these restaurants being from around here. My dad used to run the maintenance for all the White Coffee Pot, Horn and Horn, Cactus Willie's restaurants.
Oh yeah. I spent many.
Yeah, so that's how I got into it. So I did all commercial refrigeration, air conditioning, kitchen equipment. We did everything there. So, and then I left there and went to work for refrigeration companies. I did rack systems, Costco's, Walmart's, all that kind of stuff. I kind of just backed my way into residential, but I guess the fact that I have a big mouth, that's why I do a podcast, that I liked the interaction with customers. So I kind of rose up in the ranks there. And the only reason I really ever went into the whole management side is because I thought it was the next step. I thought that was supposed to be the evolution of my career, which I do like it. I mean, I'm not going to say I like sitting in an office, because I love the technical side of this trade. That's what's made me love it. But now I love to teach it to our guys, you know what I mean? To make them better. And the more, and this is something I always say all the time, people are going to be like, you always say that, Gil. But Mr. Jim Bergman made the statement one time, and he said, you don't really know something till you have to teach it to somebody else. So I feel like when I help teach, our technicians, it just makes me better in the long run. It just makes me love doing all this stuff and really breaking it down. So, sorry, comments. So let me ask you this before we get into the topic we want to talk about. So you guys, when you take tech support calls, what are most of the calls are you handling? So Mark, are you doing mostly like the bigger stuff? Are you open to everything? Do they kind of keep you guys dialed into a certain area, or?
I'm open to everything. I mostly concentrate on the bigger stuff. Just that was my expertise. I definitely jump in wherever it needs here. Um, but definitely jump in with what we call the over 20 or commercial guys, just because that was my true background, and that's what I absolutely love. To do residential, don't like attics and can't stand crawl spaces, a little claustrophobic. So I prefer a roof or a chiller plant to be in. But so I stick mostly with the over 20 stuff on the large tonnage.
Nice. What about you, Vinny?
Yeah. And I'm kind of in your boat, Gil, where I like to talk a lot, and so residential was where I fell into, and I've honestly been doing residential light commercial and small refrigeration for 15 years, and so all the big stuff I give to Mark. No, I tell him, I said, look, we'll go as far as I can, and it's out of my wheelhouse. Whatever he's working on that I could see that. All right, this is we'll see where we can go. A lot of times it's something simple where it's like, oh, okay, well, you need line voltage, your fuse is off, something like that. I don't know, but you get down to it, and sometimes you can get it. Or we have a great group of guys here, as you know. And so I could call on Mark, I can call on whomever, but they'll turn around and call on me too. Say, hey, look, I got this mini split, and it's doing this and this and this. So we're a big family here, and we work together, and we get the answer for them. If I personally don't have it, we'll find you the answer.
And that's awesome. And to be honest, everybody that I've met from Bluon has been awesome, and just like the culture that you guys have, like it's I do think it's really awesome what has been created there. So so when you say that you're a team, I know that from just what I've seen. So other people, if you're listening to this, I know sometimes you feel like, oh, people just say that. Well, I can say that I've seen that in action, several times. Everybody that I've dealt with, from all the way up from Mr. Peter, all the way down to people that work in the office that I've dealt with. It's been pretty amazing experiences every time.
Yeah, I would step up even one above that. I don't consider us a team. I just consider us a family. It's a family. Bluon is just, and all the techs that call in, we consider them as family and treat them as family. I'm trying to educate everybody and teach everybody, our knowledge, but we get taught from them because they're our eyes and ears out in the field, and they're the ones seeing all. And it's always been a joy. That's what got me into the troubleshooting. It changes every minute. It's something that makes your brain grow, makes your brain function, really challenges you. And so with that, that culture, we're always trying to give back, but it's a family. It is a family dynamic. There is not one person that, as they say, if you pull one side, it'll fall down. We don't have that. It is one full family dynamic from Peter all the way down to the bottom. Nobody 100%. Looks at anything different way.
I'm trying to come out to California when you guys have your little visit, man. I'm trying to throw some jabs at Mr. Peter. Like, man, I'm trying to be out in Cali next time you guys have your little get together. I'll pay for myself. I don't care. But yeah, no, that is awesome. And I always try to remind people when it comes to the bigger stuff that it is the refrigeration cycle is the refrigeration cycle. It doesn't matter whether it's a small little refrigerator or 100-ton chiller or whatever. It's all the same shit. We're doing the same thing, and maybe it has some more gadgets and gizmos, but as long as you really know the basics, you can always grow into whatever. And the other thing is, people always feel like it's like commercial versus residential, installer versus service. Like, there is so many avenues in this industry that there's not a wrong one. It's whatever suits your personality. Like, whatever you like to do, go, by all means, go do that. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other. We just have tons of possibilities. I used to always say a story, a guy that I grew up with and I actually went to trade school with, which trade school sucked balls. That's a whole other story, whole other podcast. But His dad got him a job working on like dialysis machines because apparently like the pressure temperature relationship or something. He started out like 19 years old, like a gravy gig, and now he's like the regional fucking director of the whole thing. And he was like, I never ever thought that I was gonna go to school for air conditioning refrigeration, and this is what I was gonna do. But the guy makes buku bucks, you know what I mean? So this can take you a whole bunch of different avenues, and we're always gonna be needed. They can't replace us. That's why all these people are trying to get, these corporate interests and people like that are trying to get into our industry because we're so valuable.
That's what I love about this industry is that you have so many different avenues. I mean, you got to keep food, medicine, and humans comfortable. So, I mean, there's a whole wide range. Get computer equipment, you got server rooms, and you got to keep a lot of things at a certain temperature. So.
Yep.
You even get down to processing. I mean, you got process chillers and all that, MRI machines.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire world runs off of heating and cooling, no matter what. I mean, it is there. Most of your medical, it's all made off of that. All the medical for the guys overseas, it is going through process chillers and stuff like that. So, I mean, it is a guaranteed job 24/7. You will not lose your job.
Yeah, no. And I tell people like like that lawyer, that judge. Well, guess what? If the AC or heat's broken that courthouse, guess what? They're going to postpone that shit. You know what I mean? That doctor's office, that doctor is supposed to be doing surgery that day. Guess what? The heat and AC don't work. That shit's getting postponed. You got to think about the whole big picture. And that's why I want to do this. For one, I want young people to want to get in the trade. I want them to know that they can make a really good living. I have two 25-year-old guys that work for me that probably made $150,000 last year. Doing things right, the honest way. The other thing is we should walk around being proud of what we do, just like that fucking doctor and that judge. When people ask me, what do you do? I do fucking HVAC, man. What's up? You know what I mean? I am proud of what I do, and everybody should be that way. This is a career. It's not just a job. If it's just a job, then you made it that way. That means you're working Monday to Friday, paycheck to paycheck. That's on you, not on the industry.
Yeah.
And even in this industry, trades. You are a doctor. I mean, you're a doctor to the equipment. You're you're servicing. You're a doctor. You're trying to diagnose and fix what's going on, and let alone. I mean, you look. They always say average 4 years for college. It's 5 years for an apprenticeship. In Maryland to even get your actual license as journeyman to operate out the trade. So I mean, you're adding an extra year on, but again, you're not paying these college bills and all that, and you could make one hell of a good living. Plus, you can do everything on your own, I mean, and be proud. I mean, it takes a real mind to be able to sit there and troubleshoot an electrical circuit or understand how the refrigeration aspect works. And, it's not a simple process.
No. Go ahead, Vinny.
With the trades, falling by the wayside, meaning like, in high school, you don't have trade schools anymore that are, a trade class, you don't have a refrigeration course in high school, we need to bring that stuff back, man. And what's really awesome is that with Bluon in your back pocket, I mean, shit, you have a mentor right there. You have a digital just to pick up that phone and you can talk to 35 texts, that there's your mentorship right there. Something that I wish like Mark said in the beginning, I say that all the time. I wish I had this on my back pocket back in the day when I was coming up.
Yeah,
sure.
Me too. And this is what I want people to realize. Like, even when you call tech support and, they tell you something, in order to fix this, it's A, B, C, D. Guess what? You just learned something. So now the next time you see that problem, you're going to know. Maybe you're working with one of your colleagues the next time and that problem happens and you're like, it's check this, it's this. Nobody knows where you got that knowledge from. It doesn't matter, but that's how you learn. And that's what I want people to know. And I don't want to steal this. Somebody else did it. But I feel like when those old guys retire, they say every time one of those old guys retires, it's like a library burning down. And I think that that's the truth. And things like this, some of those guys that get older, that don't have the physical body. I mean, you guys are young men, so it's not, I don't mean it for you, but I feel like some of those guys that are older can get into something like this where you can still use their brain, but it's not so taxing on their body. Because Some of these people that, and I'm not saying you got to be in the trade a long time, because I've met a lot of guys that have been in the trade 30 years and been doing shit wrong for 30 years. But a lot of those good minds that are still a resource to be able to give back to the industry. So, and yeah, young people just like, a lot of people say they support the trades until you ask them if they would let their child get into the trades. I have 4 children. You know, my oldest son is a Division I prospect for baseball and football. Do I want him in the trades? No, only because I know he has a skill to do something else. But if that doesn't work and he said, hey, Dad, I want him to get in the trades, fucking right, I'd want him to be in the trades. I'd let my daughters be in the trade, you know? So it's not just, you know, people always say it's about everybody. Like, oh, I love the trades. Oh, well, how come, you know, you rather your kid go to community college and get a fucking basket weaving degree just to say he has one than go to a trade? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we got a lot of barriers to break down in this country, and you know, sadly, some other ones got to come before that. But I just feel like that's where I think like these shows and different people on social media just kind of help get it out to those younger people. But
Right.
I guess as far as what we were talking about, you know, when we talk about the large tonnage versus small tonnage, diagnosing that equipment, I guess I'll ask both of you. I'll start with you, Mark. What do you think the approach to diagnosis is the biggest difference between the two?
Well, I mean, there really should be a difference. Just because it's larger, all right, you got 8 compressors, but it's still running through the same principles. You're still running through a series of safeties that are eventually going to feed that contactor to pull that compressor in. I mean, you break it down into principles. Do I have, you know, primary power? Do I have secondary power? You know, or what's going on with it? You said a refrigeration circuit is a refrigeration circuit. I've worked on chillers, absorbers down to a PTAC system. There's no difference. It still operates the same. It might have a hot gas bypass or a low ambient kit or something. Just a little bit different principle to allow it to operate a little differently, but it's still the same principle. You're still looking at superheat, subcool. On the bigger stuff, you might be looking at discharge superheat because you have oil that moves and you know can log the oil log your refrigerant and change how your heat's going through your compressor. But when you break it down, the same principle, there's no reason to get scared. You know, I hear guys call in, well, it's got water through it. Well, what's the difference between water and air? You're still exchanging heat. You know, there's no difference. It's still the same principles, and your superheat and subcooler are still the same. You know, you're still the same exact principle. So I hear a lot of guys get scared with it, but there isn't. Just look at it as a basic HVAC, you know, basic air conditioner that, as you could say, is like, you know, the thing with the commercial guys and the residential guys. You know, I've overhauled chillers. I've ripped them apart. My body hurts, and I look at like. I'd love to pick up a little 4-ton compressor and set it in place first. Hanging a 26-foot, you know, I-beam.
He's talking shit, Vinny. He's talking shit on us, Vinny.
But I mean, you know, walk up to it with confidence, and you know, the biggest aspect I can tell anybody in the HVAC industry is the refrigeration aspect is easy. It's a very basic principle to understand, but practice reading wiring diagrams. Sit down and take an hour a day and just look at a diagram and understand the basic principles of series parallel, and how it flows. And if you can do that, you can fix anything in the world. There is not one piece of equipment you cannot fix.
I agree 100%. Yeah. I feel like I just had this talk with our technicians. I feel like not reading a wiring diagram, I do agree that I think that you can fake the funk in residential because there's not as much, like you can figure it out. But that is something that you have to have. You have to need to be able to do to get into the commercial industrial game. Especially some of the industrial stuff where you're working on a piece of equipment. Like I've worked on things that they're one of one. You know, like there's this is custom built. There is no other one like this. You learn from the guy who worked on that ship before you. You have to be able to do that because it's not as simple as, oh, this wire goes up to this safety and goes down to here. You know, you can't do that because there's so many. So I love that answer, and I agree, and that would have been my exact answer as well. And while you were thinking about that, it made me feel – I always hear guys that when you ask them one of the biggest things they have trouble with, and they're like, I don't really understand geothermal. I'm like, you know how to work on heat pumps? They're like, yeah. I'm like, that's all it is. It's a fucking heat pump. We're just using the constant temperature of the ground. That's pretty much all it is. You know, and once again, it's still focus. If you know the basics in this industry, you can do anything. That's why I always say this, not to down what we do, but I feel like if a guy gets into the trade and for the first 5-6 years, I mean, he busts his ass to really learn this trade, he can be as good as a guy who's been doing it for 30 years. The only thing he doesn't have is maybe some experiences. So I don't think it's necessarily extremely hard to learn what we do, but you have to have the passion to actually want to learn it, because we can speak on this before. I didn't mean to go drop all this before you spoke, Vinny, but I feel like a lot of guys learn just enough to be dangerous, and then they stop their process from learning. And most technicians are their worst enemy, their own worst enemy. So,
Yeah. I had a guy the other day call and goes, "Man, I got this geothermal. It's throwing me for a loop." And so to break the ice, I go, "Is it a closed loop or an open loop?" And he goes, "It's closed." And I was like, "Okay, let's figure out." And all it was a low pressure. I go, "Okay, well, did you gauge up?" "Nope." I said, "Let's gauge up. That's first things first. Low pressure. Okay, start looking for a leak. Boom, he found it in the evaporator." I go, "How long you been there?" He gave me a time. I said, "Oh, wow." He goes, "I should have called Bluon before." I said, yeah. And so,
prime example.
yeah, I mean, I get calls that guys have been out there for an hour plus, and it's after we get it through, he's like, "Man, I should have called y'all earlier." Yeah, you fucking should have.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, save time.
yeah, it's not worth sitting out there racking your brain. Like I always tell my guys, if you can't diagnose what's going on within 30, 45 minutes, I mean, at least like know like it's in this region, to call somebody, call me, call one of your colleagues, call somebody else. Because after that, you're just wasting time. If you haven't been able to at least point yourself in a direction in 30, 45 minutes of diagnosis,
Right.
an hour is probably, in 2 hours probably isn't going to make a difference. And that's okay.
Right.
You get better as you go. And I
Yeah.
keep saying that asking for help, it's not a weakness. It's not a bad thing.
And we have techs that call in that, most of them are standing right there in front of the equipment. And obviously that's going to be the best way to do it, because we can take those pressures and temperatures and right in real world scenarios. But you can give us a call too whenever you're at home and after that long day, you're like, "Man, you know what? That job really bothered me. I'm trying to figure it out." Dude, we get calls like that all the time when they're actually driving home and they're talking to us. And it's like, "You're not in front of the unit? That's okay. Let's talk about it. Let's talk it out. Let's see what possibilities it could be." And dude, that makes a world of difference, where you can call up and talk about the stress of the job and just kind of relieve that stress to us. We'll take it. We'll take it, man. Take it off your shoulders.
That's awesome.
Yeah, to go on that, Vinny, I had a guy call the other day, and he literally was sitting at home and had wanted to discuss 3 different jobs that he was on that day and go over them. And the biggest thing, like I tell everybody, is you can't diagnose something without doing every step. So if you have a refrigeration problem, you need to do your delta T's. You need to know what your subcool is, what your superheat is, what your pressures are, what your outside area is, what your wet bulb is, to properly diagnose it. If you have all that, that's all the tools you need to do this. It's actually very simple. You have all those tools. Heck, there's neat little charts that you can look at and say, okay, my suction pressure is a little low, my discharge is high, and my superheat's a little high, my subcool's high. Okay, we're looking at a restriction. I mean, compressor amps. The unit's telling you everything it needs to do. You just have to use the right tools and the right diagnosis to dive into that info. And if you have trouble with that, as long as you have all the info, anybody can diagnose it. Like I said, we're always here to do that. And if I get on the phone, I will have you go through every one of those steps, because that's how I'm going to properly diagnose that. And I can give you a direct answer without saying, "Oh yeah, it's a bad compressor," or something like that, where, as I won't speak, but there is tech support that literally reads from the manual. And we all have passed high school, at least at some point, and can read. We can read our own manual. We don't need that. We need a little farther with that. So
it's a TXV.
Yeah, we're real world guys, and we've lived it. We've seen the nightmares and the situations that you walk into. You're like, what the hell is going on? Like, the unit just tripping out, doing something that you've never seen. We've seen it, and we've lived it. So, like you spoke early, Gil, on experiences. I got blessed growing up with a chiller family. I used to work for Trane, and I worked with nothing but chiller guys. So I got taught that from the old generation. You know, I got beat down by them and taught well. And that's what we're trying to do with the new generation. We're trying to be there so they don't make the fumbles, they don't make the mistakes, they don't get hurt. You know, that's a big in this industry. One little slip up, one little mistake, and you're hurt or dead. I've seen both, and it's not fun to see. So always be mindful of what you're doing. Don't ever go into it cocky. You know, playing with electricity, always have respect for it. The minute you think that you own it, it's going to bite you.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Go ahead, Vinny.
You know, they're sending these guys out in like 2-3 months after, you know, shadowing somebody. If they even shadow somebody, they just put them out in the truck. And I had to tell one guy to say, okay, don't hook up your high pressure, because he hooked it up and you know, I told him, I said, wear gloves, you know, and luckily he was okay, but I did hear it go, psh, and I go, oh, you all right? Yeah. I said, okay. So I think he was, you know, a little intimidated. I said, how long you been doing this? And he tells me, I said, okay, let's just clean the coil, check your delta, and come back with somebody, you know, because it's not fair for him to be thrown out there like that. But, you know, we always talk about it. There's a different person where if we got the time, I know Mark is about this too, where if we look at the board and we're not swamped busy, we'll sit there and explain to them, okay, this is why we check for superheat. This is what superheat means. It means that we got vapor. You know, we're checking for subcool because we want to make sure we got liquid to the TXV. All these things, and we explain it to them and take the time, because they just look at pressure and they think that's okay, you know.
That's why it's funny you say that, because I go through, so I have at least 2 service meetings every week, and I tell my guys, being able to draw the refrigeration cycle on a board is one thing, but to be able to actually know it is another thing. I want to be able to point to any point of that, and you can tell me exactly what the refrigerant's doing. That's different. And then we ask some of these like goofy questions, and even guys that are seasoned, it trips them up a little bit, not because they don't know, because it's making them think about it in a different way. Like my guys know when they call me, I'm like, you know, if you call and just give me, you know, your low pressure and high pressure, I can't help you. Don't give me half of an equation and expect me to solve the problem. You know, so it's crazy. And I can only imagine with some of the, you know, I know it's a positive thing, but some of the horror stories that you guys deal with. But yeah, it's crazy. And it's definitely, I'm sorry. Oh, somebody asked, do you guys get homeowners that try to call Bluon tech support?
We used to. I mean, they try, but we have instilled so they can't do it. I mean, that's when you go to become a Bluon Pro. You know, you have to list if are you a student, are you know a contractor, you know, service tech, whatever you are. And we weed them out. And I mean, we've had them couple get through, and we'll get them, but you can tell because they don't have the lingo. You know, you start talking about how to work a meter and how to do things. That you can call them out, and we've called them out. And no, we don't allow it because that's not us. We're not here to support the homeowner. Yeah. We're not here to hurt the technicians of our trade that we've all worked in slave labor to, you know, to give our life to. All of us that are in HVAC, as much as we say we hate it, every one of us loves it too. You know, to the bitter end. So no, we don't allow it. We don't support them, and we never will. We are techs for techs.
Yeah, definitely here for 100%. The techs. Yeah, it's funny because, you know, my Facebook group, HVAC Uncensored Nation, can get a little crazy sometimes, but when a homeowner sneaks through, it's actually pretty funny because these guys are brutal. They'll
tear them apart.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, touch R and C together. You know, they're like, and I'm like, hey, if you're dumb enough to sneak in here when it says many times you have to be a tech or have to be in the industry, then you get whatever you get. You know, so that's funny. Since the last series I asked a question, I really never got to let you answer it, Vinny. I'll let you start with this second question. Since you guys both answer different. Kind of take different calls, this is even better. What is probably, if you had to say, the most common call that you get on a routine occurrence, and I know there's different seasonal things, but if you could think of a common call that you get, what would be one of the number ones that pops in your mind?
Number one, low voltage short. A low voltage short for sure. So yeah, and we just go through the process of narrowing it down, see where it's at. Like I said, I do a lot of residential, so we see if it's going to the, is it short outside? Is it at the thermostat? Is it internal? We narrow it down, and we get it. Whoops, sorry.
Nice. How about you, Mark? What's your most in your side, the big stuff?
I would say it's like when I was back out in the field again. Hey, I got no cooling. That is the normal answer. Hey, I got no cooling. I deal a lot with the guys for Train Reliatel controls, the Train Voyagers and Precedent series. The Reliatels definitely seem to stump some people up. Once you understand the system, they're actually a really great system to use and understand. It's actually a basic system that works really well. But it seems like the Train Voyagers, and then when you get to the IntelliPacks and stuff like that, that seems to be a big one that definitely gets some people. And economizers, for some reason, simple principle. But and with that, like Vinny was saying, a lot of new guys are calling in. These new guys are going into the commercial aspect, and a lot of them are actually guys that were residential come over to commercial world. So it's great when I have time to sit down and explain the whole process and how it works. And with that, the only one thing I wanted to bounce off or piggyback off you guys was any new techs, do not be afraid to tell us that you're brand new and try to figure this out. We don't hold anything against anybody. You tell me you're brand new, I'll sit and talk to you for an hour trying to teach you the whole HVAC industry as long as I can. So that's a big thing. Never hold back from us on that aspect. But
Right.
yeah, with that, so the Voyager is definitely the big one that seems to get people in that Reliatel control.
Nice. Yeah, and what we were saying earlier is because I feel like, not to bounce around here, when we had, having a shortage of techs in the industry, and then a lot of these companies were just hiring warm bodies. And I think there's a lot of companies out there that are training properly. They're doing it the right way. But sadly, where there's good, there's bad. And there's a lot of companies out there that they're not. They're trying to teach these guys how to sell stuff. They just send them out there. These guys they don't know what they're doing. And they're good people. They just don't know. You know what I mean? So it's, use tech support. Try to learn and don't. I've had those years, like I've said before, where I've sold $3+ million in a year, and I've never sold anybody anything they didn't need. We teach our guys, I want you to be the best possible technician you can be, at the same time being the best communicator that you can be. And if you worry about money, you'll never make it. If you worry about doing what's best for the customer, every time, and that doesn't matter whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, if you do what's best for the customer, you will always make more money. You give them the options that they need, they'll tell you what they want to do. That's how you build those relationships. And that's why I've loved this, because I'm a relational person. That's how I like talking and building those things. I like to help people. And as long as you always have that on your mind and you have passion, you can really, really grow in this industry.
Well, like you were saying, you got into the residential world because you like talking to people. And I can say in the same as in the commercial aspect is because you're dealing with a homeowner and you're trying to create a better environment for them with a good piece of equipment that's running, where I'm actually doing the same. I'm just doing it with a building engineer. That's who I am involved with. And I can walk into a building and be recognized real quick because I'm doing a good job for them. It's very prideful to feel something like that, to walk in and they're happy to see you. They know they're getting ready to dump a boatload of money, but they're happy to see you because they know it's going to work and their headache is going.
Yeah, the sigh of relief, Like I did the commercial stuff. Like when I get called to, being in Maryland, I get called to, Chantilly, Virginia, to a Costco at 2:00 in the morning, and I walk into the door and the manager goes, "Oh, Gil, it's so good to see you." You know what I mean? Like it's. Because places like that, that's one thing. It's not like residential. It's not, hey, I'll see you at 8. It's like, no, motherfucker, I'll see you in like an hour and a half. Like we got $500,000, $1 million of the product in this freezer. I need it back up. So it's definitely different responsibilities, where there you have, people's comfort and safety and stuff like that. You also have Mrs. Smith and her family and their safety that you're putting in your hands. So that's what, once again, going back to what we said before about taking being prideful for what you do and how much impact that we have on them. So
Right.
let me. I'm trying to ask this. So going into, so I guess this really, well, I guess you would still have it with the big stuff. So I guess, here getting ready to go into the heating season, the furnace tune-up process and just maintenances in general. I guess we can start with you this time, Mark. What would be like your biggest tip to give somebody out there, or advice or whatever it is, getting ready to go into heating season?
Number one, man, check your heat exchangers. Every rooftop, it's got a heat exchanger. I can tell you, train and carrier, I can't count the amount I've replaced and the amount that are busted. Number one thing to check. I mean, it's a big money maker, and two, I mean, you don't want to kill anybody, man. Carbon monoxide. I mean, we all know, especially in the residential world. I mean, at least the commercial world, we got outside air, but man, it's devastating. But the number one thing, go through your heat exchangers. I mean, that's the number one thing. It's a easy look through. I'd say the bigger units are easy because we can just pop a panel off and look at the whole thing to see a crack. And then make sure your filters and your belts and everything is ready for your preventive maintenance. That's probably your number one aspect in the heating season for the big stuff.
Nice. How about you, Van?
Yeah. So I would say check your airflow. You have you can do your furnace calculation CFMs and check your temperature rise and all that. And it's a good time to check for airflow. Clean those flame sensors. If you need to take out a little bit of emery cloth, that's okay. You don't have to use the $100 bill. So yeah, airflow, check your belts, check your filters. Funny thing Mark said about the heat exchanger. I had a guy earlier, he was trying to work on, I think a low voltage short actually, but he said, I saw that there was some rust on those heat exchangers. I said, can you take a picture? He sent me a picture. There's big old holes through that shit. I said, oh my God, just call it off right now. Just don't get this unit up and running right now. You need to talk to the homeowner. Turn it off. You're going to get her sick. So.
Yeah. So when we do tune-ups here, like our process is we pull heat exchangers, sit on the ground, and that way there is no shady picture that some guys had the same picture in his phone for 10 years telling customers it's your heat exchanger. It's very transparent. And if it's not, it's like, hey, you got some stress points on here that we need to worry about, but it's okay as of right now. And then you put it back in. Because if you're not checking, you're guessing. And I don't want to guess with somebody else's life. Take your time. And then the little thing that I learned that I realize a lot of people don't know is when you're taking a temperature rise on a gas furnace, you should be in the stream a little bit. So you need to be at least probably 6 feet back on the supply and a little bit down on the return. You don't want to be too close because sometimes you're going to get inaccurate readings, So be thorough when you do it. Like our guys, they might have 2 maintenances in a day, and that's all I want them to do because I want you to rip that thing apart. So for us, if it's the first time we come out, we're pulling the heat exchanger. Other than that, we pull them every 2 years. So every 2 years, we'll pull it and check it if less something else. Like gas pressure. Oh, it looks fine. Well, did you put a manometer on it? If you don't check it, then you're guessing. Don't guess. That's why we have all these fancy instruments. Use them. And once you get yourself down into a process where you're doing the same thing every time, it's very simple. You make it easy, and it becomes like second nature to do it. Like, even in the commercial world, the first time that you pull a heat exchanger, you're like, man, this fucking blows. But the time you start getting to the 10th, 20th, 30th one, you could take those motherfuckers out and put them back in no time.
Yeah. Well, and with your gas pressure, the other thing, a big in the commercial world is make sure you understand the piece of equipment you're working on, because you could have a trained voyager that actually, when you're reading your gas pressures after the gas valve, it's actually reading in a negative pressure. Where if you have a precedent series, it has your burner tubes and it's actually going to read in a positive pressure like a furnace would. So make sure you understand your piece of equipment and how it operates before you even start hooking up to it, because bad things go boom real fast when you're dealing with that.
Yep. And like I tell people, even when you do new installs, like the commissioning process is probably more important than the install itself. Like at the factory, they literally put electricity up, they bump, they watch the motors run, and they send that motherfucker down the assembly line. They're not hooking gas up to it to set the gas pressure. And then based on where you are in the region, it could change. It's not always 3.5 inches a water column. I know in Maryland, a lot of times they say it should be 3.2, because of the density of our gas or some shit like that. Check it. You don't know. That thing's starting off. It's like a new baby. I mean, you're not just gonna be like, oh, looks fine, fucking here. They're gonna check it and make sure everything's okay, no broken bones and no infections. Everything looks all right. It's the same thing. And I don't want to steal this because it's not mine, but my friend Ben Poole from HVAC Tactical, master your craft. If you're gonna do something, try to be the best at it and do it the best of your fucking ability, or don't fucking do it. It's really that simple. And I'm not going to sit here and try to preach and say that I've never, ever cut a corner or never done something that I regret it. But now it comes down to just take your time and do it right. If I have a guy that he has 4 calls on the board and he's stuck on one, guess what? Those other calls are going to get moved or somebody else is going to do them. I don't fucking care. You know what I mean? It's just, and I hope if you guys don't work for a place that thinks of you like that or treats you like that, then maybe you should find another place because they're out there, and the more I learn about it, they're definitely out there. Somebody asked a question. I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to ask, but McVizzy, I hope you're not a homeowner with that question there, bud. Any experience in dealing with floor gas furnaces that run off millivolts? So, yes. And
Floor furnaces. Oof.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you have a more particular question that we could try to answer it for you. Yes, I am still hiring, rookie. One of my friends who's on here, he said that when he first got in the trade, I was his tech support. He used to call me all the time. I still try to help people. It's just I got enough things that I can't. So, guys, obviously we're getting almost to, we're actually at that hour point, so we'll start to close out here soon. If you have any questions for these gentlemen, please put it in all caps. I'll try to ask them as many questions as we have time for. But it has to be on all caps. If I don't see all caps, then I'm just going to scroll over it as I'm looking through the comments. McVizzy, yes, I'm pretty sure if you have a particular question, any one of us would be able to answer the questions you have as far as the gas furnaces that run off millivolts. They're really not.
So those floor, no, they're not. But those floor furnaces, they're like are extremely like they're not as safe. They're not very safe.
No, and just think about think about this. When you have those, he said, what is the range of millivolts does it need to keep a steady flame?
What is it, 500 millivolts? There's 600. I think it depends on the actual thermocouple.
Yeah, the thermocouple
or the
gas valve.
Yeah.
So it depends on those things. So the only difference between millivolts is that heat is generating the power to take it back. So there's really not much to
thermopile.
Thermopile, yeah.
Thermopile. Yeah.
So if you go out there, and I always tell people when it comes to a thermopile or a thermocouple or something like that, if it's not lighting and you change that and then it doesn't fire, then the only other thing is going to be the gas valve. That's the only 2 things that aren't going to cause it to light. Unless you don't have gas, that would be a problem too. That's funny. I guess we'll wait and see if people ask more questions. So I want to end it this way. Since you guys, one is residential, one does the big stuff. If there's a new guy that is trying to think of which direction should I go, I want both of you to make your sales pitch of why somebody should come in your direction. So go ahead, Mark. I'll let you start.
It's tough. I mean, I'm coming from Maryland, so if you don't mind freezing your ass off in the snow on a roof, trying to fix a rooftop unit, get in the commercial. If you want to get into really busting your body up, let's see. When I started on chillers, I was 20 years old. I weighed about $160. 250 now. I had to hit weights to start rigging chillers apart and some bad vertebrae. But no, I mean, in reality, I like the big stuff. I like how much it makes me have to think to troubleshoot. I like that complex problem at times. And I like the whole aspect is it's not just the unit. A lot of times you're dealing with a whole building. You're dealing with, if you're dealing with chillers, you're dealing with pumps, you're dealing with BMS systems, and there's, I guess, in my opinion, in the commercial world, I see so many avenues, like you were speaking of, to be able to branch off once you're done wanting to be in the field. There are so many different directions of being a project manager, a building engineer, or running a data center. Like, there's so many different avenues in the commercial aspect, and you deal with those people every day that if you take pride in your work, you build a very reputable name for yourself, and it makes it very easy to transition to another position or upgrade yourself to something else. And I think that's why I got into it, just because there was so many. It's just such a diversified culture in the commercial world of routes to go. You can go be a BMS guy and just program and run a whole building, or you can go work on chillers or rooftops, or there's such multiple avenues.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Right on.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's vote for Vinny.
So,
Residential.
Well, Mark's got some good points on there, and but residential, I find that connecting with the homeowners, even though we know how some homeowners can be, but I've had dinner and lunches with these homeowners, and sometimes homeowners, they become your second family. You really I've watched their kids grow. I'm taking out 15-year-old units that I put in, back then, and it's really cool to watch that, and it just takes a sense of a gratitude, an honor to be in their home, and they're letting you in their space, and you could literally break bread with them. So I like that. I like the aspect of giving back to the community. I guess that's the reason why I'm here at Bluon, because I love the industry, and so I'm giving back to the industry. But yeah, this is a pitch for residential, not Bluon, right? So
no, but to be honest,
So-
I love your guys' answers, man. So really, the way when people ask me, in a nutshell, is I tell people it's all about your personality, and once again, there is no right or wrong answer. It's
Right.
if you're the kind of person that you like to be focused on one particular thing, you don't like to run all over town, and you want to be stuck at, like, you want to, not stuck, but you want to be at one place all day, then maybe commercial is something for you, because you could be on that roof all day working on the same thing. If you're the kind of person that likes to be on the move, then maybe residential is for you. If you don't like dealing with people, then you should probably go into the commercial aspect, because you still have to deal with people, but maybe a little bit less than you would on the residential aspect. So think about all those little those little features. The other thing is people that like some people, like, they like to be under, like, they work better under stress. So maybe the commercial aspect, like you were saying, Mark, is you have some of those things where you're working on a whole building and you're in charge of what's going on, and you're under stress that you have to get this thing up and running. That's a little bit more stress than I have to get this furnace working for Mrs. Smith. So maybe you're the kind of person who works well under that kind of stress, So there is no right or wrong. Just think about your personality and what fits you. And don't be afraid to go try one and then be like, hey,
Right.
maybe I want to go try this. And then if you do try residential, be like, hey, I like commercial industrial a little bit more than I thought I did. I've done both. I love both. I have not a bad thing to say about either one. Like I said, I backed my way into residential. That was never a plan. I would have been fine if I kept my whole career in the commercial side. I just happened to find an avenue and was able to thrive, in the residential side. So I guess I was kind of pinning you guys in a bad spot to make you sell it. I was just curious to see what your answers are. But I do think that's awesome, and there is no wrong answer. Go ahead, bud.
And if you want to get as jacked as Mark, you can be in commercial, because that's all he does is just pick up compressors and just.
Yeah, my buddy Rookie, he said, where did he put? He said commercial workers for men, resi workers for little boys and girls. Get out of here, man.
You see how big Mark is? Mark just.
Yeah, he said this is actually a good question. He said, when will Bluon? You guys may not know this answer. When will Bluon start posting commercial manuals, or at least strengthen what is in there?
So we do have commercial manuals. Sometimes you have to look them up a little bit different. I know, especially like on the train. I think it actually just says train Voyager, and then you go into Voyager, and then it'll break it down YCDs, TCDs, and all those. We are working every day. We have a crew that literally is working every day pulling manuals. Some of the commercial manuals are a little harder to get. Just a lot of them don't come with a lot of stuff.
Right.
They just
Somebody robbing your house, Vinny?
Nobody's robbing the house now.
Get out, motherfucker!
No, wife dropped a cup of a cup, so that's all.
Oh, it's all good, man. I'm just busting your balls. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mark. I could not say something.
Nah, but we're adding every day. I mean, there's a lot of carrier. There's a lot of carrier commercial rooftops in there. I think even the Aqua Snaps are in there for their smaller chillers and that stuff. So it's in there. Sometimes it's a little different to look at. And again, if you need any help with it, by all means, man, hit tech support. We'll walk you through, try to find where that manual is, and make sure it's in there. Or hit us up, send us a text or something like that. But we'll be more than glad to look through it. And we have it when we log on to calls. If it's missing, we put it in our database so that we have guys that go out and look for that manual to get it in there on the next update. And so we're working every day. And
that's what I tell people. Like some people are like, oh, and most of it's residential. They're like, I went to look for this manual and it wasn't there. I'm like, well, then call tech support. I'm like, if you tell them, then, hey, this manual's not there, guess what? They'll get it, and it'll be in there. Like, that's how simple. Like, don't bitch about it and be like, oh, I tried to use them, and the manual wasn't there. Okay, there's 300-something thousand, and you search for one that wasn't there, say something, and they'll put it in there, And I already know the answer to this that I didn't know until one of these episodes. He says, will Bluon branch into refrigeration? They already do. I didn't know that. So they actually do have some guys that do branch off into the refrigeration side, Rookie.
And more than 9 out of 10.
Oh, nice. Go ahead.
And then the other thing with the commercial, with the manual lookup, sometimes the guys aren't finding the manuals because they're putting too much of the model number in real quick. Your best bet is like if you're going to carrier, put in the first 3. That's the series of that unit. And then that'll pop up the next. And then you can look at your actual model number based on it that way. So don't just go all in on that 20-digit model number. Hit the first 3 is normally your series. And then it'll rejuvenate the next set of manuals that'll pop up and do it that way. It's actually a little breakdown, and it goes a long way when you're using the app.
That's a good tip.
And I hope I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but here in the future, I know we're going to have a little bit different way where you can actually put in the model number. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of looking it up through the brand and breaking it down there, we're going to do the model number here shortly. But to build off of what y'all were talking about.
Yeah, we listen to everyone. Everybody's complained about the app, and we take it very seriously. And again, the app is designed for text by text. So if we sit and look at it, and I'll play with it. If I don't like something, I'll bring it up, and they'll change it because I'm a tech, and our minds work differently. We're very simple people in a complex situation. So we will adapt whatever we need to make it work.
Right. I love the fact
going
that
off.
Go ahead, Benny. I'm sorry, buddy. You've been trying to go.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, going off of what you were talking about earlier with the manuals, and if it's not in there, give us a call because more than 9 out of 10 times, we're going to find that manual, even though it's not in the app. If you're calling us all the time, I'm emailing and I'm doing things where you will get that manual. So give us a call.
Or get a call and have a conversation. Obviously, if you're looking for a manual, you're trying to troubleshoot an issue. So maybe you can talk to somebody who can be like, oh, yeah, man, that's normally on those systems. It's this. Once again, it's all positive experience. And guys, it is fucking free. It is
24/7.
Yes, it is fucking
365 days a year.
Yeah, like there's
Christmas.
There's no negative reason. And for all you people out there, like I've talked to a few and I've talked to Mr. Peter about it. They're like, oh, I tried to use them once and, tech support didn't help me or the manual wasn't there. First of all, don't base off of one experience. I don't even, it's hard for me to believe that, but, I don't know. Maybe you got somebody on a bad day or maybe you were asking the wrong questions. That's why you were getting the answers you were getting. Just always do things multiple times. Don't base an opinion. And most of the people that I say that say those comments, I don't believe they ever even did it, to be honest with you. Because like I said, at Beltway, we use Bluon tech support. Like literally, my guys all wear the Bluon Pro hats. I had to tell them like, hey, I'll let you wear it, but you got everything else has got to be Beltway. It's become part of our uniform almost. And they all call you. They all love it. And the best part about it is they did that before this partnership with Bluon ever even happened. So that's what I mean by it was like just second nature to partner with somebody that I already used anyway. And then also, talking to Mr. Peter and feeling his that he really does give a shit about techs and listens to you guys when you say something, how techs think, because he's got that engineer, chemist, whatever background, that when you guys give things, like, and he's told me that, he listens to you guys as technicians and the people that work for him, like, hey, like, we see it this way, and if we did it like this, it would work better. And he's like, oh, fuck it, let's do it. Plus, I said, whenever I talk to a CEO and, I say fuck, and then he says, fuck yeah, I'm like, this is my kind of guy,
He gets really excited when he hears from techs. Like, it makes him excited to what is going good and what is bad, to what they need to change. Like, he loves that, to make this grow and make it for techs. I mean, that's his motto. That's where all this came about. Peter is 100% wants to hear from techs on what's good, what's bad. We're in the process of talking to guys right now just to find out, like, hey, how's the app working for you? How do you feel about ordering parts? What doesn't work? What works? What, the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, I mean, to make it grow, to build it for everybody, so it's user friendly and it makes everybody's life easy. And again, even with the ordering parts, if you got a problem ordering a part or don't know how to use it, we're there to help you through that. No matter what, man, call us. I'll sit on the phone with an hour for you trying to get something figured out. Like, I mean, there's no time frame with us. We don't have hey, you got 10 minutes, your time's up. I mean, that's not there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you don't got to sit on hold for 3 hours to wait for somebody to answer the phone. Somebody asked,
or pay $75. We don't ask for credit cards whenever you call.
If you call me, I do though. I'm just kidding. Somebody said, how can we convince the supply houses to get on board with the Bluon parts ordering? So I don't know if you guys even know that, but most of that stuff is done on a corporate level. So if you're doing some kind of little mom and pop shop, I don't really know, unless one of you guys may know the answer to that.
Yeah, it doesn't. It never hurts to talk to the counter guys. And the biggest thing for those to get on board is we have what we call Bluon Live. There's 2.5 million OEM part numbers out there, and we have a database of 40 million OEM cross-reference numbers that if they're on board and want to use the Bluon parts ordering, they get that. That is in their whole computer that they can literally, it helps them do better business. So if I have a carrier that has a Copeland CRV compressor, they can look up that OEM compressor, and it might have 8 different Copeland compressors that fit that for the footprint, the voltage, and where the suction and discharge is. And they can have that. They might have that one in stock, but they don't have the OEM one. But it's a direct fit. So they have a cross-reference that they can use for free to cross-reference all these parts at whatever they have in their stockpile, and they can sell it to you. So they're not waiting to call whoever they called to cross-reference and wait for a day to get it back and to get the quote. Time is money in our business. Time is money in this trade. So they can sit there and you send a quote in through your cart, and they can look up, make sure they have it stocked, what's going to work, what's not going to work, what will make it compatible, and then send that quote back to you. And then you could send your PO and go pick your parts up while you're going to get lunch. It's literally that easy, but it makes their life that much easier because a lot of these, especially the small guys and even the corporates. I mean, Ari Michaels is on with us. Ferguson is on with us. I mean, these are big dudes out in this world.
Yeah.
Johnstone, I mean, these are big ballers in this. If they see initiative and want that, everybody should be looking at that. That's a big deal because it's making their life easier. It's making productivity go up. You can literally send a quote in. You're standing with a customer, especially in the residential world. You're standing with a customer. They just burned up their compressor. You need a compressor, dryer, some acid away, gas, blah, blah, blah. but you can literally sit there and go through, make your cart, send a quote in a couple of minutes, have your quote sent back, put your markup, and go to the customer. Hey, here's what it's going to cost, and they say yes, PO ordered. It's that easy. In 5 minutes, you can be done. Versus, all right, and even if your office orders parts, say your office has to order parts, you can still do the quote and share the quote with your office as an email, and they can submit the email and order the parts. There's no paperwork, because I can tell you early on in my trade how many tickets I wrote that flew out the window that I have no idea where they got, or the slip that I had to get and turn it in with my paperwork of what I bought. No, there's none of that. Now it's all digital. It's all right there. They can send it. They can quote it. You can have a sales guy in the office do the same, because he doesn't know what we need, And I know most of us want to order our own parts because we like going there and going, fuck, that's not it. I want to know, I want the right part. So you can place your own quote and send it to the office, and they can order it for you with the PO. And when they do that, you still get the 2% cash back because you did the quote. Yeah. So it's that simple. And in 5 to 10 minutes, you already have a quote. You can quote a job. You can you can go pick up your parts, grab your lunch. I mean, the productivity and the ease of it is just exponential.
And the other stuff that we haven't covered, sorry, Vinny, I'll forget if I don't say this. I'm sorry. If you go back and watch the Bluon Curry podcast with Matt, the CEO of Curry, and Mr. Peter, the CEO of Bluon, it's not active yet, I don't think yet, but Curry is going to be the company that will pick the fucking part up and bring it to you. So you
I can tell you this, Gil, and you can definitely attest to this because we live in the area, but when you work in a major city like DC, and God forbid you have to run to a supply house and you spend 2 hours trying to find a parking spot to get back in, and you got a bag compressor where you can just start pulling your gas and order your parts and sit there and wait. I mean, all day long.
Exactly. You know, your compressor's your compressor's on the way. You start taking the other one, recovering the refrigerant, or you start taking the blower motor out because you're waiting for Mrs. Smith's motor to come. And if you, like I've said this a million times too, and if you go to a customer and you say a convenience fee, and like I said, I'm making this up because I don't know how much it costs, but say, hey, there's a $50 convenience fee. I can get your part and I can have it brought to your house while I'm disconnecting the other one. Would you be okay with that? No customer is going to fucking say no. They're just not. So it's simplified. And somebody says their Johnstone says it's not on board. So that means they're probably not a corporate store. So actually, one of my local Johnstones is not on board because it's not one of the corporate stores. It's like a privately owned
franchise.
So yeah. Hold on. I'm not sure what you mean by your question. He said 90 plus also, Gil.
90 plus furnaces, maybe?
Yeah. Zeke's another Maryland guy. He's on the Eastern Shore. He's a buddy of mine. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by the question.
We troubleshoot. You can call about 90 plus percenters for sure.
Oh, yeah, all day long. There isn't anything we won't troubleshoot. I mean, I've worked on chillers that are built up that, I mean, there are chillers I've never even heard of somebody's called about. But it's all same principle. And I'll give it the best of my ability to get it down. I mean, there's a basic – in the worst case is you're going to start taking pictures. I'm going to have you send me pictures so I can look at it and I can understand what the system is. We can go from there. There's nothing we won't troubleshoot. The only thing we won't troubleshoot is a boiler and an oil-fired furnace because too much shit can go wrong too quick when you're dealing with that aspect.
Yeah, boilers.
So going off of what you were saying, Mark, how many times – going back to the parts ordering and the quote requesting, how many times – do you call the supply house with the exact part number you need? I mean, that right there, all you need to know is the model number, and you got the list of parts right there. You send over that part number, and then the supply house has the cross-reference database that we're letting them use, and bar none is the best. I mean, these guys I talked to on the counter on the supply house, they're going, man, if we even could find it, it would take us 2 or 3 days. And get an email back from another, third party. Now we're finding it in 2 or 3 minutes or less. I mean, the counter guys are loving it. The guys that are using this on the counter, they're loving it.
Yeah, because a lot of those guys, like you said, nobody does that, Vinny. No, I mean, I do it sometimes now just because a little bit of experience and I'm trying to make it easier. But,
well, you want the right part.
Exactly. So I'll take the time to look it up, but I'm also in the office. I'm not in the field. They don't have time to do that. So I'm trying to do that for my technicians if they're not using the Bluon app because we let our guys do it. They can order if they see it. They know how to do the PO system. They can order it themselves.
Yeah.
But it's some of these guys when you call in and you like, for example, I need like dumb things. I'm thinking off the top of my head like a 6-inch elbow. That's probably not what you're doing on here, but
Truck stock. We have truck stock. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
you go through truck stock. Ductwork's getting added right now. We have grills, registers. I mean, you can sit there and right when you're sitting on a job. Okay, like say you're a new install guy and you're going to be piping at a job. Wouldn't it be easier instead of having a piece of paper and trying to write everything down to sit there and just scroll through and say, okay, I need 690s, I need a couple couplings, I need a union, like, and just click and add that away instead of the whole sheet of paper trying to write this down where you just built the cart, can go back in, scroll through your cart, and say yes and send it. It's a hell of a lot easier. Yep. I mean, if I go look through my truck and I'm looking through, okay, I need fuses, I need wire nuts, and sitting there, it's a hell of a lot easier for me just to click, okay, let me add this to the cart, add this to the cart, and it's done instead of piece of paper, call it in. All right, hold on. 20 minutes later, hey, I need these couple things.
Yeah, or
speaking
of truck stock, one of our guys, I'm not even going to steal his idea. He would go, as he would use things, he would put it in his cart each day. And at the end of the day, he would place the truck stock order. So he was constantly replenishing what he used that day. And I was like, that's the new way we're doing it.
Perfect.
Everybody's got to do that. I was like, way to go. You got brownie points. I'm taking you to lunch. Because just think about it that way, you know, then you're constantly replenishing what you have on your truck. And I've done it the old way where I try to write it down on a pad. Oh, I use this. And then I would forget something. There was no system that worked perfectly, but this is pretty easy because most of the guys are already in the Bluon app or you're fucking around your phone doing something. So it's pretty awesome. One of the guys in the comments was saying about, you know, I guess he's in Lynchburg, Virginia, and their Johnstone doesn't use it. Well, enough of you, if you go to your supply house and you ask enough, trust me, they'll eventually open it up. And somebody also put, oh, well, it costs the supply house a small fee. Guys, that's going to be pennies on the dollar. They're still going to make money off of it. You know, and Bluon is going to bring...
It's 2%. Yeah. 2% is what it is.
It's a credit card fee. I mean, you know, they pay for credit cards.
They are saving more money because of the manpower that they're saving. When you're giving them the part number, it's already their job's halfway done. You know, doing the cross-reference database, and they're able to see a lot more other parts than they couldn't see before. Boom, their job's just gotten so much more easier. So they're saving more than that 2% or whatever.
Yeah, so if your supply house doesn't have it,
it's a game changer.
Yeah, call me. I'll help broker the deal, okay? I'll work it out. Real fast before I forget, guys, if some of you email me, I still have the HVAC Uncensored at gmail.com, but now that the website is technically live, HVACUncensored.com, the merch store is up. It's still slowly having things added. But the whole point of me saying that was if you guys need to email me now at info@HVACUncensored.com. The other email will still be up, but eventually I'll stop looking at it. So info@HVACUncensored.com is going to be the new email if you guys need to get in touch with me. Just so you know, just kind of like usual. And even if you go to the other one, it'll be forwarded just so you guys know when you get in touch with me. Well, damn, guys, we've been well over an hour now. I know on our side it's 9:30 out here, man. I guess, is there anything that you guys would like to say in closing before we start to close this thing out?
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to say, thank you, Gil, for having us on here. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on here. And out to the text, man, whatever you guys need, we're here for you guys 24/7. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been woken up plenty of times to go troubleshoot something. Don't ever think we're not here for you. Bluon's got your back 100% at all times.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Amen. Yeah, I see HVAC Rookie says smash that like button. Yeah, smash that like button, but also smash that tech support button and give us a call anytime, 24 hours, 365 days a week.
Yeah, man, it's awesome.
Or a year, excuse me.
Yeah, I know what you meant, man. I thank you guys so much for coming on, dude. I appreciate what you guys do. I really do love Bluon as a whole. And guys, I bring them on here obviously to be able to meet them and get their expertise so that you guys see what's on the other end of that phone. And guys, we haven't even scratched the surface of how many people they have doing this. This is the third one. We've only dealt with 6, and you guys have what, like almost like 100 people or more?
Over 100. We have 35 techs, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, and we're gonna start diving into some different episodes with them, like the stuff that me and Mr. Peter and Jessica, that I talked to over there, some of the different people, like there's so many different avenues that we have coming that we're gonna do as a resource, and I just want you to know these people as a resource, to be able to see them, that they're just like you. These guys were in the field running calls, doing all that kind of stuff. It's not some pencil pushing fucking doofus behind a phone reading a flow chart. Like, that's not what is there. These guys are real people. They know what they're talking about, and they're there to help you. And I'm going to say this for the 9 millionth time, for fucking free. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to keep saying that, but there's no reason. Like, if they said the app was $1, I get people could be like, oh, well, I don't want to spend $1. I don't have $1 to spend. It's free. Guys, you can become a Bluon Pro member in under 10 minutes. Under 10 minutes. That's literally how long it takes. They'll send you the hat like he's wearing. I have a bunch of different ones, wrong camera, that they sent over, the regular ones. But all kind of stuff that they give you for nothing. And I love it because I see people wear that shit with pride. That's why I let my technicians wear it. Like, I rock my Bluon stuff all the time because it's prideful. I'm actually going to put one of my Beltway patches on the other side because I just love the brands, being together. And I don't know how else to say it, man. If you guys don't use Bluon, I don't understand why. I guess I'll put it that way, because I think it's an amazing resource, and anybody who's been in this trade for a little bit of time, we wish that we had it when we were starting out.
100%.
The HVAC industry, from the big to the small, is one family. I mean, it's a small group of us. It's 330,000 technicians in the whole entire nation. Man, it's just one family. That's all it is.
Yeah, and the other thing that people don't even talk about, and I don't talk about enough, is even on the app, the community of people. That you can go on there and ask questions in there and just talk to other people, and they have it broken up, which is fucking amazing, where some is just a shout out, just to post things. Some are like, it's a certain group to ask questions about certain things. Like, it's broken down to be an awesome community, and they don't allow the bullshit of putting people down. Like, I love my Facebook group, but sometimes guys get a rowdy where people can't ask questions, and that sucks because that's not why the group was created. But since I have the uncensored part in the name, there's just no way that that's ever going to go away, no matter how many times I explain the uncensored part. So even that, the resources plus the community they've built. So we're going to keep doing this, man. I thank you guys for what you do. I appreciate you coming on. You guys know, whether it's through Bluon or not, you guys have my email. You guys are always welcome to come on here by yourself. Whatever it is, if there's something, if you had a cool phone call that day, a tech support call that you're like, damn, if everybody heard this, I think this would be educational. Fuck it. Come on. We can come on and talk about furnaces or whatever. I don't give a shit. So you guys are always welcome to come on, man. And I really, really do thank you guys for taking the time to come on and, chat with me for a fucking hour and a half.
We greatly appreciate you, man. It's been a fucking blast.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate you, Gil.
Yep. All right, man, I'm going to close this out. Thank you, guys. Let me go ahead and, oh, man, I forgot what the fuck I was doing. Mute these gentlemen. I don't know why this fucking thing is all goofy. Let me, switch cameras. There we go. Phew. Yeah, I forgot what I was doing. That was an awesome show, man. It really was, dude. I love doing these things with Bluon, man, and I really want you all out there to really, really go download this resource and have it. It's only going to make you better. All right. Post links. Oh, here to well, the App Store. It's just, you go into the App Store and search for Bluon, you'll find it. I don't really have a link. You can go to their website, but I real fast. I will put in the new email. info@HVAC Uncensored.com. And if you guys go to www.HVACuncensored.com, that is my website. You can get to anything that I do, any of my resources through there. You can see all my sponsors that way. So you can technically get to the Bluon link through that way if you need to. And this one, HVAC Uncensored.com. That is my website. So it's active. I haven't made the launch yet. My friends over at On Purpose Media, Thad and Evan, who are also the host of HVAC Success Secrets. I'm having a brain fart. Awesome guys. They helped me build this. So there's a lot of things being added to the store. So you can go check it out. There's still shirts and stuff on there. But I'm trying to check out the quality and all that of some of the things. The t-shirts are good. I've already had that stuff. And he said, oh God, he doesn't know. I just don't have it in front of me, and I don't feel like searching for it, rookie. Why don't you be a good fucking moderator and you post a link, you asshole? But anyway, guys, thank you guys for coming out tonight, man. Thank you to my moderators joking around. I appreciate you guys for getting me the questions and answering people in there when I can't answer them. I want to thank Bluon for the partnership that we have with them. I really, really do appreciate the partnership, and I love those guys from top to bottom. Everybody that I have met from over there is absolutely awesome, starting from Mr. Peter all the way down. It really is. Thank you, rookie. Appreciate it. So another episode tomorrow night. So come back here. I have Mr. Dave Elliott, Hoosier HVAC from YouTube. From Instagram. Dave is an awesome guy, shit ton of knowledge. I can't wait to have him on. We booked this a little while back. I've been looking forward to it. So Mr. Dave Elliott, who is AKA Hoosier HVAC on Instagram. So we'll be right back here tomorrow night for the regularly scheduled show. Once again, thank you guys for the support. I appreciate you. Make sure you follow the podcast on all the social media sites. Getting back at it. I took a week off. Like I said, again, thank you guys for bearing with me. Still trying to break that funk of losing one of my best friends. It's kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm trying to push through it. And once again, I appreciate all of your messages and emails. I read every single one of them. If I did not respond to you, I promise you I just couldn't get to it, but I did read it, and I greatly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I can't thank you enough. All right, but now we'll get back to business. I'm going to catch up on the audio podcast, so there will be audio podcast this Monday, getting back on track. All right, guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Remember, be safe out there. Always make it home the same way you left. All right, I'm looking at the wrong camera. Be safe out there. Make it home the same way you left. Whether that's driving, people driving crazy. When we talked about electricity, just be safe, okay? We all got somebody to make it home to. The next thing is do the little things the next guy's not doing. Master your craft. Like my buddy Ben Poole says, if you're going to do something, do it right or don't fucking do it. Be at the best at what you're fucking doing. There's no reason to say I don't know anymore, because there's so many avenues to learn, whether it's YouTube, a podcast, books, an online course, calling tech support. There's no reason that you can't learn, all right? Do the right thing, learn, be the best at what you do, all right? We have a great fucking industry. Keep striving to be the best. I hate it when I see guys who learn just enough to get by and they stop. Don't fucking handicap yourself like that, all right? And remember, if I can help you in any way, I don't know everything. I'm far from it. But if I can help you in any way, reach out to me. I will do any resource that I have, I will give to you and try to help you. If I don't know the answer, I will try to help find it. You can email me at hvacuncensored@gmail.com or the new one, info@hvacuncensored.com, or you can go to the website, www.hvacuncensored.com, to get in touch with me, direct message me. I'm on all the social platforms, and I try to respond to people as much as possible. I will help anybody that I can in any way. All right? All right, man. Until next week, I love you, motherfuckers. Thank you, and hopefully you guys come back here tomorrow night, and let's do this motherfucker again, all right? Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.
Bye, you motherfuckers. I love you. It's been a great show. Hope you guys